Good evening and welcome to the February 10th meeting of the Livermore City Council. I call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Barrientos. Councilmember Dunbar.
Here.
Councilmember Wong. Here. Vice Mayor Branning.
Here.
Mayor Marchand.
Here. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to reorder the agenda. We're going to move 4.0, which is the open forum, to after 7.1. And they will now move on to the consent calendar. Do we have any public comments for consent?
Yes, Mayor, we do. The first speaker is David McQuiggan.
Johnny, the rapist, Marchand.
Excuse me,
Minutes, no,
excuse me,
that
you,
are-
Mr. David McGuigan, you have to speak to the minutes. You are not speaking to the minutes. You are forfeiting your time. You can be going
I
back to the end.
gave you
I'm sorry.
appropriate
I'm
salutation.
sorry. No, I'm sorry. You're done. You are done. You have forfeited your time. We will move you to the end and you can complete your comments. We will move you to the end. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Greg Scott.
Good evening, Greg Scott. I'm speaking on the water rates. The water rate for our household is, we have a service fee of $37, I think, and one billing.
Wait, excuse me. We're speaking on
5.2.
5.2. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
excuse me, on water rates. We, in our household, we have a service fee of $30-some a month. That's with consuming no water. A unit of water is about $4. The unit of water is 100 cubic feet. That's about 748 gallons. So we used in the billing cycle 1,500 gallons or less, and we paid $48 in there, $47. It's a lot of money for that kind of water. In a month, that would be about 50 gallons a day. That isn't that much water usage. I don't know how people are paying their water bills, but this is getting outrageous, especially if you do any kind of landscaping. But we really shouldn't be watering lawns. We're wasting water greatly. And, you know, we're going to have to rethink water and water rates. What's come out, especially by President Trump and the shipping, we ship 5 million acre feet water south to Southern California in this water deal too. You know, it's a gallon an almond for Mr. Resnick and the Resnick family. You know, it's the people on fixed incomes and people on lower incomes. This isn't fair. The whole water thing isn't fair. For the public, you know, 5 million acre feet is about 12 point something trillion gallons of water. We're supposed to ship even more. And then President Trump comes out about the Delta smelt. You know, in the recovery program for Delta smelt in the last sampling period, they didn't find any of that fish. We're collapsing the Delta. So we have to rethink our water rates, and thank you.
Mayor, that was the last speaker. Would you like to invite Mr. McQuiggan back up?
As long if you can stay on the topic, perhaps. Otherwise, he'll forfeit his time again. You will speak to the minutes.
I will, Johnny, the rapist, Marchand.
Okay,
as if
thank you
give
very
me a
much.
chance
No, thank
to
you
speak.
very much.
That is
No,
your
thank
salutation,
you very
sir.
much. You are done.
That's your
Thank you.
salutation.
Please relinquish the
meeting
podium.
minutes
No,
note
we
that
are
you
moving
ordered
on to the
no-
next.
agenda
No,
to be
we are
ordered.
moving on to the
Consider
next
it. But
item.
it doesn't
We're
include
moving
your
on
statement
to the
that one
consent.
person is going to be placed at the end. And
You will
have a
relinquish
city
the
treatment
podium.
Act targeting a specific individual that is contrary to your stated policies. I do believe Mr. Alcala will tell you that you are not an optimum position for minimizing your legal exposure by doing that. But your deliberative
no, you know
punitive
what?
act
Cut
was
the
part of
mic.
the meeting and
Cut
should
the
be
mic.
part of the official record. Thank you, Johnny, the
We're
rapist,
done with
Marchand.
this. We are done. Next speaker.
That concludes public comment for the consent.
Consent
calendar.
calendar? Okay. Do we have anyone that wishes to pull an item for consent? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move consent.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Vice Mayor Branning, seconded by Councilmember Dunbar. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Passed unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to 6.1. This is a public hearing on renewable energy. This is an AVA community energy contract.
Honorable Mayor Marchand and members of the City Council, this is your City Manager, Mariana Marshall, and item 6.1 is going to be presented by the city's Sustainability Program Manager, Tricia Mento. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, good evening, Mayor and City Council. The item before you tonight is consideration of a 25-year power purchase agreement with Ava Community Energy. The project involves installing solar and battery storage system at 5 city facilities. That includes City Hall, Civic Center Meeting Hall, Maintenance Service Center, the Police Department, and the Water Reclamation Plant. The systems will provide several benefits to the city, including improving energy resilience by providing backup power during emergencies consistent with our climate action plan and emergency operations goals. Will reduce energy costs by allowing us to use energy from the batteries during times when grid electricity is more expensive. It lowers our reliance on diesel generators, and several of the sites will also include solar carports that provide additional shade in our parking lots. There will be approximately 36 spaces at City Hall, 20 spaces at the Police Department, and 4 at the Civic Center Meeting Hall that will be covered with solar canopies. The financial terms outlined in the contract include no upfront capital costs to the city. Ava Community Energy has selected 2 companies, Greenbridge and Gridscape, as the project financier and developer, and this team will install, own, operate, and maintain the systems. The city will make monthly payments to Ava for the electricity generated by the panels and a flat rate for the storage capacity. And these payments will be less than what the city would otherwise pay for grid electricity without the project. And a crucial reason we're able to achieve these savings is because we've been able to grandfather the facilities under the state's previous net energy metering laws, which provide higher compensation rates for excess solar energy that is sold back to the grid. And we're able to maintain this status if we have the systems installed by about April of 2026. And despite that being over a year away, there are some concerns from the project development partners about supply chains and the potential for tariffs to negatively impact product pricing. But if approved tonight, the city manager will have authorization to approve the final agreement, providing the project pricing and feasibility issues are resolved and the agreement remains in substantially the same form as the item being reviewed by council this evening. Staff is recommending that the city council adopt 2 resolutions tonight. The first is finding that the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. And the second is authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement in substantially the same form as the one included in the agenda tonight, and determining that doing so is in the best interest for the city. So that concludes staff's presentation, and we're available for questions. We also have JP Ross from Ava Community Energy here tonight who will help answer questions as well.
Okay. Any questions from the council? Do we have any public comment?
Comment.
Okay.
Um,
We're going to take just public comments first. If the question,
oh,
we'll take public comment first,
Okay.
and then we'll bring it back to the council.
Yes, sir, we do. We have 3 speakers. David McWiggin, followed by Greg Scott, followed by Trish Monroe.
Are you going to behave yourself? We have to shut the mic off again.
If you are going to personally insult me and threaten me, Mr. Marchand, that will not go well. Now, let me go to my comments. Several of them, $2.1 million over 25 years. That's it? You spend, what, 1.6 million a year right now? You're going to be getting it at 20 cents instead of 40 cents? You only get 5% of the savings over the 25-year lifetime? There was a question on the storage units. It says 650 kilowatts, but batteries are typically kilowatt hours. So kind of questioning that. if you're getting 690 kilowatt hours, well, that's 9 Tesla batteries or maybe 150K, and you're paying 83K a year to have that storage. The storage guarantee at 90% is measured by taking the number of hours in a month, subtracting the number of hours where the power isn't being supplied by the batteries when it's needed, and divide it by the hours in the month. As long as that over 90%, you get to be paying for the storage capacity. Although that also means they can be out for 3 days straight and still meet the 90% threshold. And then you're going to go rush this through on a sole source category. I found this chart on the Bay Area Reddit, and it's some of the local utility districts that have been created. Palo Alto, 17 cents, 17.5 cents a kilowatt hour. Pacific Power, 16.2 cents per kilowatt hour. Silicon Valley, 14.3. SMUD, 12.6. Liberty Utility, IIAD. PG&E is at 40%, so 40 cents. So yeah, you need to do something about PG&E, but somewhere along the line, somebody's making a lot of money and it ain't the people in Livermore saving it. Thank you, Johnny the racist Marchand.
The next speaker is Greg Scott, followed by Trish Monroe.
Good evening, Greg Scott. I want to be clear on one thing about the renewable energy. It isn't a replacement for fossil fuel energy. It's in addition. We're consuming more and more energy, and it's just an additional source. It's not a replacement. So we're not solving the problem because we're not conserving energy, and we're consuming ever more. We've gone down an expanded consumption with a couple of things. One, generative artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency. We need to cut back on the electrical, and we don't seem to be doing that. So saying this is going to save the climate or anything like that it's just not true. The energy return on investment of solar is 6 to 1. It's pathetic. The only lower energy return on an investment is nuclear fission generated electricity, 5 to 1, which is the minimum you need for an post-industrial society. So saying this is the great savior, it isn't. We need conservation is what we need, and we're not doing that. So one of the things we could do is make a resolution for the city is no investment in cryptocurrency. Currently in the world, we're consuming 760 terawatt hours of electricity for cryptocurrency and generative artificial intelligence, and it's just going up. That's 2% of all human generated electricity. We're going the wrong direction in consumption, not in how we're producing.
The last speaker is Trish Monroe.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, especially new council members Wong and Dunbar, and city staff. I'm here wearing my memorial or something, East Bay Community Energy jacket, since I remember back in the day. And I'm just very excited to see this project go forward. No, it's not going to solve everything, but it will make a step in the right direction during a time where that is under questionable how much progress we can make. So I appreciate the local aspect to it. I appreciate the fact that we make progress one step at a time, rarely taking big leaps across bridges that aren't there. Thank you for letting this go. I hope you would let this go forward. Doesn't seem terribly controversial to me. And I appreciate the continued partnership with AVA and with the city and through the county. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes public comment.
Okay, in that case, I'm going to close the public comment period, bring it back to the council. I must say, I've never heard anybody complain that the city shouldn't try to spend money or shouldn't try to save money. And that's exactly what we're doing here is without an upfront capital investment, we're saving money. And I think that's something that everybody can get behind is, we heard Mr. Scott talk about how expensive everything is, including water and power. And here we're making an attempt to save money. And I think that's a laudable goal. So any other comments from the council?
I think I'm following Trish. I used to sit on EVA board, Trish Monroe. So, one of the things that, when I was taking a tour behind the police station, the police chief said that automobile over there with a bulletproof windshield is slowly being destroyed by the sun. And it's $20,000 window. And he goes, what we need is a garage. And I kept thinking, oh, I know we're not gonna get a garage. So we started thinking about the solar panels, just like schools have all over. So that'll be a win-win. We get solar power and we get coverage for the vehicles back there. I know many have not been back there, but they have weird places where they park their motorcycles and their vehicles. And it's mainly out in the sun. So I think it's a win-win. We will save, we will get another source of energy and we'll protect the vehicles for the police department at the same time. And I really think this is a good direction we're going to. And we can't stop crypto, all that kind of stuff, So I think it's a good thing that we're doing right now.
Any other comments from the council? Oh, Councilmember Wong.
I just had some questions about the timeline for this. If we approve it tonight, when does it start? How long will it take?
We're going to bring JP Ross from Ava Community Energy up to help answer that question.
Thanks very much, City Council members. My name is JP Ross. I'm Vice President of Local Development at Ava Community Energy. So the term of the agreement is a 25-year power purchase agreement from when the systems would be installed. As Tricia mentioned, the timeline for getting those systems installed is by April 15th of 2026. So should the City Council approve this tonight, we are in the final stages of signing an agreement with the developers. Once we get that signed, we would then execute the agreements with each of 6 participating cities, of which Livermore is one. And then we would quickly move into the next stages of project development, submitting permits and kind of ordering some of the equipment that is the longest lead time equipment, some switch gear and otherwise that it takes a while. That is where some of the risk comes in with respect to trade tariffs and potential impacts to customs in the border and importing equipment. And so that's something that we're working to manage right now as far as that risk goes. But the systems would kind of be installed in early 2026 is when the actual operation would commence.
Okay, and so there are 6 cities involved. Are you planning to start all 6 at once, or is there an order of what cities go first?
Yeah, they'll be phased with respect to some of the larger and more complicated systems going in first. So one of the water treatment plant is one of the larger sites, and so that's actually one of the ones that would really be commencing on earliest. It has some of the longer lead time equipment that we have to order. And so we would be quickly moving into submitting permits and getting equipment for that site on order. So it'll be phased based on kind of project complexity. And one of the Livermore sites is one of those sites.
So if I hear you correctly, you're saying early 26, the work would actually start.
That's when it would be completed.
Oh,
So
completed.
It would be starting in the next 3 months is when we
Oh,
would
okay.
be submitting permits and ordering equipment. And we've already been visiting the site so that we can complete the plan sets for submission to the permitting department.
But in terms of the actual installation, all of that, did you say it was 26 or?
That's when they need to be installed. So it would be the construction happens in earnest in the second half of this calendar year.
Oh, I see. Okay. And so you're confident you would get through at least our city by April 26?
And we have we have rights within the contract to hold the developers to those timelines.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Damdar.
Hi, thanks for being here. A couple of questions from me. One question for staff is that if we were able to do this ourselves, we would not be getting NEM 2.0. Is that correct?
That's
if we were
correct.
to apply today, right? So that's a pretty strong case for why this is in the city's best interest overall. Sorry, I didn't catch remind me your name again?
JP Ross.
JP Ross, thank you. My question was a more generic, why not more coverage? And it can be I have some reasons of my own, as I imagine, but I'd like to hear from you of, why this size of system for what we've got going on here.
Yeah, so, so by more coverage, can you, clarify more coverage of what?
More solar panels overall, given the top-down view we've got in our packet here of the amount of building coverage we're actually talking about and the amount of parking lot coverage we're actually talking about. We actually have more space
Yeah.
available, but we're not using all of it because.
Yeah, so solar systems are sized using a few different characteristics. Your financial valuation tends to improve as your solar system gets to 80% or so of the annual usage of a site. And so we generally are trying to size up to that range. In some cases, you are then limited by the amount of rooftop you have or other kind of limitations with respect to how large of a system you can put on. So there's a few different limitations for how big of a system you can put on. And then there's the other coverage element is the size of the battery. And with the batteries, we're also trying to kind of balance between the cost of the battery and the value that's providing, either for resilience or for bill savings. And so there's a few different elements at play with how we've sized systems. And then, we also looked at additional sites within the city of Livermore at a facilities level. And some of those were either kind of infeasible or didn't have economic savings, and economic savings across the portfolio was something else that we were evaluating to provide savings to the city.
So if I could summarize myself, it might be, we can only mitigate so much energy of the use that the city building itself is actually generating. We're not looking to offset use beyond the limits of the city's parcel.
That's correct. Yes, it has much lower, if not zero value once you get above what that particular site uses on an annual basis.
Thank you. I have some comments as well, but
Okay, any questions?
those are my questions.
Okay, comments, Mr. Dunbar.
So to the thing that we're asked to be doing tonight, which is determining the agreements in the city's best interest, that was why I brought up the NEM question. That is what keeps us in the best interest, in my view. Councilman Barrientos mentioned the longevity improvements to the vehicles and the total trends over time. We've got that, and then we've also got the resiliency factor for our city buildings in case of emergencies that we'll have some backup power for in specific circumstances. Hopefully, we don't have those, but if they do occur, we are ready. So that makes it easy for me to make the findings that I'm being asked to make here.
Okay. Yeah. Councilmember Barrientos.
When I was over at the AVA meetings, Howard Chang, we discussed this a lot. And what I want to say is I want to thank the staff here and the AVA staff. I know you guys huddled in your little corners and hammered this out. It was an easy thing and the way you did it. So thank you and appreciate, your efforts in getting this thing done.
Councilmember Wong.
Just quickly, I didn't realize it was possible to be grandfathered under NEM 2.0. So to me, that's a really big plus and the reason to get this done in this time frame.
Okay. Any questions, comments? With that, Councilmember Barrientos, I'd be willing to entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second,
Oh, okay. Okay, it's moved and second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on to 7.1, this is matters for consideration. Resolution adopting a 180-day waiting period exception.
Honorable Mayor Marchand and members of the City Council, this is once again your City Manager Mariana Marasheva, and item 7.1 is going to be presented by our Human Resources Manager, Kristen Hilton. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. The item before you tonight is a resolution approving a 180-day wait period exception to hire retired annuitant Michael Prado. Sorry. There we go. So state law requires that the city council approval to hire a retired annuitant before the required 180-day waiting period. The city has an immediate need for staff to assist with the review of lease proposals for the city properties, and the city has several active applications for telecommunications and other uses on city property that need to be reviewed and processed. Mr. Pato has the requisite knowledge, skills, and abilities to work on these time-sensitive and complex projects to allow for continuity of operations. During his time, he will also be developing policies and procedures and training manuals in order to train and pass on this information to staff. As such, staff recommends that the city council adopt a resolution approving an 180-day wait period exception to hire retired annuitant Michael Pato in accordance with the government code. Staff is available for questions.
Okay, any questions? Do any public speakers?
No public comments been received.
Okay, I'll close the comment period and bring it back to the council. Any discussion on the motion? There's no motion yet. Do I have a motion? Okay. Motion by Councilmember Barrientos.
I'll second.
Okay,
Second.
seconded by Vice Mayor. We worked with Mike for many, many years, and I always appreciated the dedication and the commitment that he brought to the organization. Glad to have him back for just the interim. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Uh,
Mayor, did you do a vote? I'm sorry. Did
No,
I?
we haven't voted yet.
Oh, okay, just
Well,
making
I have
sure.
a motion and a second, moved by Barrientos, seconded by the Vice Mayor. All in favor of motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously. All right, very good. Thank you. Okay, and now for matters initiated and council reports. Councilmember Dunbar.
The one that I didn't get in is the one that the mayor was also at with me, which was the Islamic Center opening on East Avenue, which was a lovely day with kids and lots of different goodies to try. The various different nationalities there that they had on display. They had these whiteboards that the kids made. It was great.
Yeah,
And everything else
multi-ethnic
was-
foods from all over the place. They were great.
And the rest was in my council reports, nothing else specifically to report.
Councilmember Wong.
I had two left meetings, my finance and admin committee meeting, and then also the board meeting. We talked about the 2025 legislative program, which will now be very fluid. We also received the treasurer's report and discussed our fair policies. We also recognize former Pleasanton Mayor Carla Brown's 12 years of service on LAFTA and named a bus stop after her. So that was great. I'll let you report on the graduation. I wanted to thank Judy Erlinson, our acting public works director, and Joe Prime for giving me a tour of the maintenance service center. I finally got to see that. It was really great to see everything that is done to keep cars moving and lights on and trees trimmed and all of that in the city. It was very cool. And then I attended what I learned is the hottest ticket in town, which is Science on Saturday at Las Positas College on Saturdays in February. It's just amazing. That theater is completely packed with middle school students and their parents. And then just wanted to say Happy Lunar New Year, attended the celebration at Bankhead Plaza, and then also Black History Month. There are a lot of events throughout the city, and I hope to see you all out there.
A lot of stuff going on. Councilmember Barrientos.
I slept the whole time. No, I had, I'm not sure, President Lions Club, we had a big crab feed and that went well. So we'll be dispersing money to local charities. And one of our targets is Shepherd's Gate and Fertile Groundworks. And that's all I got to say.
All right. Vice Mayor Brandon.
Yeah, I forgot to put into my report that I was also at the LAFTA board meeting, where we got to honor, former Mayor Brown. This last 2 weeks have been very busy at work. So I've been spending a lot of time with the Pleasanton School Board, but not much else to report there. So that's all for me today. Thank you.
Okay. We had, right here in this council chamber, we had the first graduates from our online graduate program from the library. That was very exciting. It's another amenity that we offered to the community. So that was great. We had a ribbon cutting welcoming a new business to town at Junbi Matcha and Tea. They're over at the shops across from the premium outlets. And I was at Jack Orthman's Eagle Scout Court of Honor. So he had built a number of boxes, planter boxes down at Sycamore Grove Park. So happy to be part of the Court of Honor. And today was the Alameda County Transportation Commission Planning, Policy, and Legislation Committee. And we heard a review on the congestion management plan. So with that, no more council reports. We'll go to the open forum. Do you have any speakers?
Yes, sir, we do. The first speaker is David McWiggin, followed by Greg Scott, followed by Susie.
Just a quick question. Any of you install solar on your house? You should. Took my energy bill down to basically nothing. Certainly better than 5% savings. It wouldn't be cost effective at that point. But let's talk about what we're going to talk about tonight, Johnny. We're going to talk about all the defenses offered by Mr. Acala for your actions. And we're going to point out the one defense he has never offered. But first, it's necessary to point something out. Unlike you, Johnny, Mr. Acala has, as city attorney, has professional ethics he has to maintain. If he violates those professional ethics, he could be subject to discipline by the Bar Association. Now, Mr. Acala has offered up many defenses. He said that Johnny is not involved in the handling of complaints against police officers. He said complaints are handled between the DA and the police chief. He's offered all manner of completely irrelevant defenses. But there's one simple defense he has never offered or said. The statement that Mr. Acala has never said is, Mayor Marchand did not cover up rape. He's this simple denial. And yet Mr. Acala cannot say it. Of course, the reason is he knows that Johnny did cover up rape. He knows this because he helped you do it. But let's be clear. Mr. Acala told you you could cover up rape. You, Johnny the Rapist Marchand, decided immorally.
Okay,
that you
no,
should
no, you know
cover
what?
up rape.
Cut the mic,
And
cut
that's
the
why
mic. You know what?
going to be
No, we're not
remembered
going to do
as
this again.
Johnny
You know what?
the
We've
Rapist
already talked,
Marchand.
we've already talked about slander and libel. We've already talked about that. You know what is really pathetic is that this is the high point of that man's life. He's a drunk driver. He admitted it in court. And this is the high point of his life, is to come in and hate on the city. And that really is pathetic. And he's been doing this for 12 years. This is the high point of his life for the last 12 years. And this is really sad. Next.
The next speaker is Greg Scott, followed by Susie, followed by Carol Silva.
Excuse me, Greg Scott, slow progress. Yeah, in the state of California, we're putting out 450 million tons of radiative reactive gases per year. Okay. In your cost benefit analysis for this battery storage, you could do it against lithium batteries or the less efficient, less expensive lithium iron phosphate batteries and compare it. Your comparison could be the storage to natural gas. Okay, it'd be 2 orders of magnitude. Now you say, well, Methane, natural gas, is a radiative reactive gas. What would you do about it? What you do about it is at the wellhead, because at each wellhead, the harvesting of methane you're doing at the wellhead, 3% of it's going directly into the atmosphere on the average in the United States. 5.5% of it's going into the atmosphere in the state of Utah. You do something at the wellhead if you're going to do something about methane. What do you do for reliability? You don't rely on solar for reliability in California. You don't rely on wind. We saw that in August of 2020 with the fires when we got a high pressure in the tropical over it, and we had the shear there for the lightning for the fires, and we had no wind. So we had no power from wind power. What do we rely on? We rely on spending tens of billions of dollars on Diablo Canyon, a very inefficient way an economic way to generate electricity. And then our backbone of our electricity is natural gas electrical generation. So cost benefit analysis there. I'm not against solar, but saying that solar is a panacea is just, it's not true. Slow progress. A speaker spoke about slow progress we're making on homelessness in October. Wow. You know, you want to see the slow progress? Don't go home after this meeting tonight. Just go out the door. Don't go to a friend's house. Don't go to a relative's house. Don't go to a family member's house. Don't sleep under a roof. Just go out and sleep outside and see where we are in the morning on homelessness. Slow progress. I took food. I picked up food in Pleasanton, five bags of food, prepared meals in Pleasanton, and 2 bags of prepared salads, and brought them to Livermore. And it was all distributed by volunteers in 3.5 hours. There's hundreds of homeless out there. They're hungry. And that food not only went to homeless, it went to people that are actually housed and sheltered. They have no money at the end of the month for basic needs. So I'm distributing food. I'm trying to deal with that. We're dealing with that poorly. I'm also distributing toilet paper, though there's not much for sanitation out there, but you know, I'm trying to do what I can. But wow. Yeah. Okay.
The next speaker is Susie, followed by Carol Silva.
He intimidated me the last time I spoke here. He screamed at me all the way out to my car. He just needs to be shut down. The one thing that you forgot to mention is that he hurt one of our citizens. And I know this because I spent a whole day watching past city council meetings where he admitted having opiates in his pocket, hitting a citizen in the crosswalk, and broke his nose. And he just comes here and he badgers you constantly. Before the meeting started, I saw Councilmember Barrientos come over and offer him a candy and said, "Here, this might help it come out better." Thank you.
Thank you.
The last speaker is Carol Silva.
Good evening, City Council members. I'm going to read comments that Donna Caban created, and I agree with them. She has a conflict tonight, so that is why I am reading these comments from Donna tonight. Livermore Airport LVK is now offering UL 94. This is a small step towards eliminating the impacts of leaded aviation pollution on several residential developments and schools close to the airport. Unfortunately, UL 94 cannot be used in all piston engine aircraft. Clearly, the most important next step is for Five Rivers Aviation FBO Peter Sandu to start selling GAMI G 100 UL, an unleaded aviation fuel that can be used in any plane. The Livermore City Council has the authority to direct the FBO to offer GAMI G 100 UL. It is FAA approved and insurable. Reed Hillview Airport has received FAA permission and is currently selling GAMI G100UL to piston engine aircraft pilots. Could the city manager or Mr. Spence provide an update on any steps being taken to offer GAMI G100UL at LVK? Hopefully, the new city council will show a willingness to protect our children from leaded aviation fuel pollution, enjoying Reed Hillview by offering GAMI 100 UL. The continued sale of leaded aviation fuel poses a significant health risk to minors living and participating in outdoor activities near the airport. We urge the new city council to work with the FBO Pete Sandu and GAMI officials to ensure GAMI GL 100 UL is available at LVK as soon as possible. Thank you. And that's from Donna Caban. Thank you.
And that concludes the public forum.
Okay, that's, there being no further business, is there anyone here that wishes to have a matter initiated? Okay, with that,